Hello and welcome to A Couple of Minutes with a Minister, and today I'm with my Senate colleague and very good friend Simon Birmingham, who is the new Minister for Trade, Tourism and Investment. Birmo, thanks very much for speaking to me today.
Thanks, Jane. Great to be with you.
You too. Well, what an exciting portfolio. Congratulations on your elevation to such an important portfolio for us. Obviously, the free trade agreements that we've already implemented, the 5 in 5 years of the coalition government, have been an important part of our economic narrative and part of the strategy for jobs and growth. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it is that we're doing to position ourselves now on the basis of those 5 free trade agreements that we've got?
Well, you're right. It's an incredibly important portfolio. 1 in 5 Australian jobs depends upon trade, and what we've achieved as a government is really to significantly increase the opportunity for Australian farmers and businesses to have preferential access into a whole range of key export markets. We've lifted that from just in the 20% of goods that are exported to well over 70% of goods that are exported having that preferential access. And what we want to see is that more Victorian companies like Carmen Fine Foods, Gapstead Wines get the chance to keep growing their markets as they're doing so successfully, and to back them to make the most of these trade deals that we've negotiated.
Well, that's fantastic news. I eat my Carmen's muesli every day, and Gapstead is in the good electorate of Indi. The good folk of Indi will be very pleased to hear about that. So we've been talking a lot lately about, you can't really miss it, can you? Brexit. It's in the news every single day. How can Australia sort of position itself in such a way that it can benefit from a new trade framework with the UK and the EU in a post-Brexit world?
So in terms of our trade negotiations, these are the big new opportunities for us that we've already now got underway, formal trade negotiations with the EU, and we're eager to make sure that we get great access into the European Union for Australian goods and services. As soon as the UK is in a position to do so, we'll enter into formal negotiations with them as well. We've already put in place a trade working group to be able to talk about some of the opportunities that will exist in that regard. And of course for Australian businesses, whether they're goods producers or indeed whether they're education providers, there's great opportunities to look to Europe and encourage European students looking for an English language speaking study opportunity to think of Australia as a high quality destination.
It's a real game changer, isn't it? But the other game changer, of course, is the current trade tensions between China and the US. Now, how does Australia position itself there to handle the potential fallout from that?
Well, thankfully, so much of what we've done helps in that regard by improving market access for Australian goods, for our exporters, for our farmers, into a whole range of global markets already. That provides a strong buffer in terms of those exporters knowing they're able to get their goods to market at preferential access points without necessarily being impacted by the toing and froing of this global trade dispute. But there are risks. There are risks that it slows down global economic growth, and that's why we're also continuing just to have a strong economy, doing as we are to balance the budget, to exceed G7 nations in our economic growth, to grow jobs across the country. They're the things that provide a buffer for Australia against those global uncertainties.
That's terrific. All right, well, I think we'll probably leave you to it. I think, though, we haven't spoken about tourism. We've only spoken about trade, and as the Minister for Tourism, I think we should hold you to 2 things. The first is we should take you to Gapstead Winery, doing the rail trail from Myrtleford to Bright in Indi. And also, you must come down for the Melbourne Cup. There is nearly $500 million of gross economic contribution to the state of Victoria in the Melbourne Cup. I'm sure you'll love it.
I absolutely would, and perhaps we can do a chat about tourism from Victoria at some stage.
What a good idea. Thanks very much for your time today.
Thanks, Jane.
Thanks.